This is a Run Pod Option. I'm Marty.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Jeff.
Welcome back, Kyle. Follow us on Twitter at RunPodOption or email us at runpodoption@gmail.com. Tell your friends about us. We'd really like for the community to grow here. We're going to jump into it. This is our picks show, but before we get to the picks, Kyle and Jeff, I have a few questions about some surprise teams so far this season. Are you ready?
Oh boy, let's do it.
It's really one question, so I was misleading. So I've already changed that. It's the biggest surprise of the season so far. We're halfway through it. Almost every team, I think every team might have played 6 by now. Every FBS team at least. So here are my surprises that I marked down. And if you have anything else, feel free to bring it. But this is going to be positive surprises, not necessarily negative surprises.
Okay.
All right. So one of the first ones I have here is Baylor at 6-0, tied for first in the Big 12, which to me is fantastic.
Sure, yeah.
There's Minnesota, who started 6-0, and low-key looks like they're going to end up going like maybe 9-0 before I think they run into Wisconsin. Or is it Wisconsin they have early up, Jeff? I can't remember.
Penn State is the first challenge.
That's what it was. Yep. Minnesota at 6-0, Arizona State at 5-1, old Herm doing it big, despite, I think, needing a couple of comebacks there to get there. Haven't been able to watch many of their games because of the Pac-12 network. LSU's offense / them being 6-0. And then finally, Duke leading the Coastal Division at 4-2.
Nothing surprises me in the Coastal Division. So.
I think that's probably one of the most right answers, because as I was writing it out, I was thinking like, well, this could literally be any team, and I would have had it on this list.
You're just playing for the right to lose to Clemson in the championship game. That's what you're doing.
You were right about Wake Forest, I guess. By the way, they got beat by Louisville. I don't know if you got a chance to watch that game, but they suffered their first loss. And not even to get into that, let's eliminate Duke from this conversation.
Yeah. I'm going to say LSU, honestly. Their offense.
If they were 6-0 without the offense, would you be as surprised?
No, because I feel like it would be like really ugly, like 16-10 games and
what we expected almost, like just them grinding out.
But Joe Burrows, I mean, I've seen things now that he's leading the Heisman polls at this point. And
you can throw away tanking for Tua. It's burying for Burrow.
That's terrible.
That is bad. Well, there's enough bad teams out there that are going to need quarterbacks. So
Jeff and I talked about it yesterday. The progress that Burrow's made from his junior to senior year, I think, is the pinnacle.
Night and day. And
then you combine that with, it'd be one thing if he was weak in a passing system and then good in a passing system, but to be weak in what was supposed to be Matt Canada's system, then Joe Brady comes in and he looks like he's Drew Brees out there, quite literally. LSU's offense, for me, is the most impressive unit all season to this point.
They've been a revelation, and they don't show any signs of slowing down.
No, and their bugaboo of Alabama, who's got injuries on defense, I don't think they're going to be able to slow them down either. Everyone's expecting a 50-40 game between those two.
Which would be a nice change of pace, considering the national championship, 8 years ago, where it was like a 9-6 or 6-3 game.
I think it was 6-3 was the regular season game.
Yeah,
and then their actual championship game, I can't remember the score, but it couldn't have been that far off either.
I feel like it was a really, really low scoring game, and it was tough to watch.
Jeff, talk about Minnesota a little bit.
Yeah, so Minnesota's really interesting. Also playing with a great quarterback, Tanner Morgan. I think he set the passing efficiency record in a game. He's not quite as magnificent as Burrow, but super efficient. He's at 70% of his passes, limiting turnovers. I watched a couple of their games, and their offense is pretty, I don't say basic, but they've got some RPOs built in. It's just, they're really solid. The one caveat is they've played a bunch of garbage teams and barely won most of their games. So it's kind of tough to tell if are they good or are they just beating a bunch of lower level teams and kind of escaping. So they did thump Nebraska last week. Bad. But Nebraska also didn't have Adrian Martinez. So again, it's really tough to say where they are.
I think I go hot and cold on it, and I always use Peyton Manning as an example. When Indianapolis were blowing out teams is when he failed in the playoffs, and the first season that they actually had stiff competition during the regular season was the year he won the Super Bowl. And I don't think Minnesota's going to the championship or anything, but I wonder if, for as many stories there are of teams who have won 7 games by one score and end up 9-3, there's the exact opposite, right? There's and just to pick a random Sun Belt team, there's the North Texas of the world that will lose 6 games by one scores, and everyone's just like, oh man, 6-6, but really, flip of a coin, could have been 9-3. Also, flip of a coin, could have been 3-9.
Yeah.
And when he was at Western, I don't think he had anything necessarily special either, right? It was just consistency.
Don't you ever say anything about PJ Fleck and the Fleck Tones. I'm okay. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I'm doing myself a disservice, and I'm looking through the game guide on Saturdays, and I see Minnesota playing, and I immediately say, well, that's not a game I'm going to watch because it's Minnesota. But yeah, I feel like I need to sit down and actually watch them.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go out of my way to watch them this week too, because I think, and I think that also could probably be applied to the Baylor situation, because it's not high-flying Baylor anymore, so I don't think people realize that they are still doing some exciting things there. And Arizona State, as a matter of really just time zone.
Yeah.
I think it's actually Arizona State versus Utah this week, which is
at Utah,
which is a pretty big game. But if it's Arizona State at Colorado, like I really can't be that bothered by it, because I know where Colorado's at right now. And if it's Minnesota and Illinois, or Minnesota and Indiana, despite there being exciting players for some of those teams, it's still not priority for me, if purely because I don't know the players. Like I do with the Big 12 or with the SEC or with the big parts of the Big 10.
Not to mention there's a stigma with the Big 10.
Yes.
That's just how it is. It's known to be a very grinded out, just can get ugly, can get kind of boring. Hell, that Michigan-Iowa game from 2 weeks ago was a little boring. It was fun, but there wasn't a lot that went on.
Yeah, it was the same. It was the same this week with Iowa and Penn State. They were just trading body blows, and then Penn State pulled away late because of some, shards of offense. But yeah, you're right. It's going to happen again this week too. Michigan and Penn State are probably going to go back and forth and end up in a close game. So
meanwhile, Nebraska and Illinois end up having a shootout, and because it's not a big game, nobody sees it, nobody cares, and it's just a kind of an afterthought. And even though Illinois, I think they still have a losing record, like Lovie Smith has done more this year than I definitely expected him to do. In only that I've seen news about Illinois 3 times this year, which is 3 times more than I expected.
He'll be gone probably this year.
Mildly surprised that SMU is on your list, buddy.
I do think it's surprising, but I think a little bit is taken away when the entire AAC, that probably could have been its own. I think it would have been a better thing for me to mention if I talked about UCF looking like the 5th best team right now in the American, with Memphis, Temple, SMU, Tulane, and Cincinnati.
Yeah, and that is a huge story right there. I mean, hey, Temple and Memphis this past weekend was kind of fun.
It was a blast.
I caught some seconds of it when I was out at a wine bar with my wife. But yeah, bougie as hell.
Some classy teams.
Yes, yeah. Nothing classier than Memphis.
Oh man, I don't want to. I will defend Memphis as the city, but the school I can't. I don't. I can't.
They harbored John Calipari.
Yeah, that's why I can't.
As a basketball coach. right now they just brought in the number 1 recruiting class for basketball with Penny Hardaway as their head coach. So that's fun.
They're spending major money. And here's kind of the weird thing about it. When you look at the American, and we'll wrap up the American before we get to picks. Does it sound okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
So the American currently, so you have Cincinnati, Temple, and Tulane that are all 5-1. SMU's 6-0. UCF's 4-2. Navy's 4-1. Memphis is 5-1 as well. I don't know if I mentioned them. Then you have a down year for South Florida, a down year for Houston, and if Houston was going to perform like I think a lot of us thought they would, this is even and if UCF was too, this would be even crazier.
And I feel bad just kind of like throwing it on UCF. It's just that they're not undefeated like they have been the last couple of years. So,
yeah, and I think part of that goes the obvious injury, right? I think I don't doubt that they're 6-0 with, or at least 5-1 with Milton. I also don't think Josh Heupel is that great of a coach.
They're missing the Frost magic.
Yeah, I think he's doing exactly that. I think he's continuing what Frost had, and I think he did the same thing when he was at OU as an offensive coordinator. He wasn't bad, but he was still taking someone else's playbook and doing it. I don't think he can coach the way that we think Scott Frost can coach.
I'd still like to see the product at Nebraska. And that's a bigger stage, I get it, but
yeah,
bigger stage and also bigger giants, that you're going up against. And I think the benefit that Heupel had at UCF is all they've had really is a history of either being great or really bad. When they had Bortles, they were a lot of fun to watch. And then they just fell apart. And then Scott Frost came and they picked it back up again. And Orlando and Florida in general, those 3 stars are better than your Midwest 4 stars in a boring Big Ten system. If nothing else, I think they're faster. And that, at first, I think that's why UCF was able to have that advantage. The difference now is Temple's got a good coach. Cincinnati's got a good coach. South Florida doesn't, so they're losing talent. Tulane has a great coach. SMU has a great coach. Navy's always well coached. Memphis has a good coach. You can take or leave Dana, but he's at least proven that he can be a coach. He can put up.
He's put up some great years in West Virginia, and that's let's face it, Morgantown, not an easy place to recruit to. No. It's in the middle of nowhere, and they burn couches.
Rich Rodriguez doesn't get enough credit for doing what he did at West Virginia.
Yeah. I think that is an incredibly hard job to actually win it, but it's been done multiple times.
Yeah.
Yep.
With great talent, like Steve Slayton.
Oh, man. Pat White.
God, they were so good. Remember Noel Devine. Yeah, Noel Devine was so
oh, my God.
Yeah, they were so good. And this was before, I think, the recruiting sites were around then, right? But, wasn't Devine, a 5-star? He was just dumb as a box of rocks, and that's why.
Yeah, I want to say that he was either a Florida State recruit or a Florida. He was one of the big 3 Florida school recruits, and either he didn't have the grades or whatever, and West Virginia welcomes those guys with open arms and no teeth. And
he turned into
yeah, and he turned into a player, and then he just disappeared. I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah.
He's a great college kid. That's
no idea.
Yeah, might have had legal issues.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what bowl season looks like because it's looking like there's probably going to be 7 or 8 American teams that are going to be bowl eligible. I'd like to see what they look like against your middle of the pack, ACC or Big Ten matchups, so they're going to have an opportunity. Hopefully.
Middle of the pack ACC is middle of the pack American right now. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think middle. Yeah, and honestly, middle of the pack ACC is 3 down, maybe 2 down.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's move to the picks. So last week, Jeff and Kyle finished 6-6, and I finished Kyle back into 500 land.
What's that about? I don't know this.
The time he goes off the podcast.
yeah. The time he texts his picks is when he.
I went on a sabbatical and I found myself.
Oh God.
full of 500 picks and wine.
I also realized that the show didn't have enough me, so I needed to come back.
Yeah, thank you.
In lieu of Kyle, we had Will, and Will finished 5-7 with his picks, And I followed it up with a 4-8, doing my best impression of Kyle. I really got wild there with Iowa and Hawaii, man. I was
Did you also
myself.
Did you also get drunk off wine too?
No, I honestly, it was a spritzer. I got,
You had Bortles and James.
Yep, yeah. I had 2 of them, and I just thought, you know what? A&M can cover. What the hell?
Oh, gosh.
Our first game is the number 3 Clemson Tigers visiting the 4-2 Louisville Cardinals. Louisville are 22-point underdogs at home. And this is after putting up a lot of points on a pretty bad Wake Forest defense, I think.
I really don't want Louisville to do anything ever.
So Louisville and Pitt, noted enemies of Kyle Castle.
Yes. Hey. Full name. Damn it.
We've used our full name on this.
Have we?
Yeah, why are you shouting?
Oh. Okay, whatever. Fine.
Yeah, we gave out your social security on the last one. So.
Yeah, we did, yeah. Yeah, your
Jokes.
address.
Joke's on you. I don't even know my socials.
All right.
And Kyle's credit just shoots through the roof. His student loan gets paid for.
It's like amazing.
It's like the guy that brings the Venmo sign on game day. It's like send beer money, and everyone sends him money.
Might just send mortgage money.
And because Kyle doesn't tweet, he doesn't have any sketchy tweets in his past, so he's good.
I'm the greatest politician.
I think after Clemson hammered Florida State, I really want to pick Louisville to cover. I really, really, really do.
I really don't.
I love Satterfield's great, and what he's done in such a short time. And there's probably going to be a sophomore slump there, but I really like Satterfield, and I'm going to pick Louisville to cover.
I'm going to go Clemson. Fuck it.
Yeah, Kyle's right. Clemson's average margin of victory is 27 points, and Louisville's giving up almost 32 points a game. So,
and Clemson's looked pretty rough until this last game, in terms of So
And
I'll take Clemson. Yep,
it's Clemson versus the rest of the ACC.
It's the Clemson Death March.
I did not realize, but you were right. Louisville's 4-2 right now. They are definitely ahead of schedule.
Oh wait,
I think. I mean, I don't think they didn't have talent last year, right? It was that the coaches gave up on them, and
Bobby
they
Petrino
gave up on the players.
Bobby Petrino.
Yeah, now you've replaced what is a sociopath with what seems like a genuinely great human being.
Yeah.
There's no wonder they're trying more.
Yeah.
Man, but last year was glorious. It was glorious seeing Louisville just completely implode last
Go up
year.
in flames. Yeah.
What was incredible about last year was Vegas didn't adjust in time, so they were like, okay, 13-point underdogs, and they get smashed by 26. then they'd be like 18-point underdogs, and they get smashed by 32. And Vegas just couldn't give enough points to the other team because Louisville would just outdo themselves with how shit they were.
Oh, and Syracuse spanked them late in the season. It's great. Oh, wonderful.
4-2 Iowa State visit 3-3 Texas Tech. Iowa State are 6.5-point favorites on the road.
Ooh.
Give me Texas Tech. Give me the Red Raiders. I know that Iowa State might be looking like they've really kind of turned it around a little bit, but give me old Jet down there.
Yeah, Jet Duffy. I'm going to use the transitive property too. Texas Tech gave Baylor fits. Iowa State played Baylor really close too. You know what? Scratch that. I'm going to say Iowa State.
I would say it's at home for Texas Tech. Man, that's tough. Because Texas Tech, I mean, their defense has gotten better. Still not great.
And their offense is not bad, but they really struggle against the run. And if they're focused on passing, that's supposed to be Matt Campbell and Iowa State's strength, right?
I'm going to go with Iowa State.
Temple, receiving votes at 5-1, visiting the number 19 SMU Mustangs. Give me SMU. Give me SMU.
This is a tough one. Oh,
Temple just beat a good Memphis team.
is it the SMU team that shows up from the first half of the Tulsa game, or is it the or is it the one that showed up in the second half? Oh God, this is a tough one. Give me Temple. Oh, I don't know if I like that. Oh God.
I was tempted to take Temple covering as well because I think they're going to keep it close. I'm just guessing with the SMU off week. I'm hoping that it's going to give us a little bit of oomph, and we're going to be able to take advantage of what Memphis did in the last half against Temple.
I'm also trying to do things that I don't really like because it's obviously hasn't helped me doing things that I
Picking the
like.
ones you like?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with, I don't want to go with 3 road teams in a row, but SMU has won a lot of really close games. No, that's Temple. Give me SMU.
Yes, boys. Number 17, Arizona State, is going up against number 13, Utah, at Utah. Utah are 12.5-point favorites, and Utah's very good defense is going to try to keep Arizona State from keeping Arizona State from getting the FBS record for consecutive games scoring more than 10 points. Kyle, do you want to take a guess at what the record is? It's blank consecutive games scoring at least 10 points. And it was previously held by 2008 through 2019 Louisiana Tech.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, so I'm going to say it's...
God, I gave you the
104?
It's 126.
Okay.
So they're at 125 right now, tied with Louisiana Tech.
What did Herm Edwards... What did he say?
You play to win the game.
You don't just play to cover the game. You play to win the game. Arizona State.
Arizona State.
Oh my God.
I've definitely, you know what? I've also got Arizona State to cover, but I do think Utah wins.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think 12.5 is too much. Arizona State has played a ton of close games, and they also seem to have a pretty good defense, so I think it'll be closer, but Utah still wins.
Good deal. We're going to skip over the Michigan. You know what? Actually, I was going to skip our teams, and then I just totally forgot because I got riled up about SMU being ranked number 19. So you've got number 16 Michigan visiting number 7 Penn State for game day. It's a big whiteout game, and the Penn State Nittany Lions are 8-point favorites.
Do you think in this social climate Penn State should be doing a whiteout game?
It's kind of a weird time for the whiteout game, isn't it?
I don't know how well that's going to go over. It'll go over fine in Happy Valley, but give me Michigan. Give me Michigan to cover.
I've got Michigan to cover as well. And Jeff?
Well, we're going to look like idiots when they don't, but I think Michigan as well. I think they lose by a touchdown.
That might be the first time that Jeff's picked like Michigan like well. He didn't think they were going to cover against Rutgers. We've got 4-2 Arizona at 3-3 Southern Cal. Southern Cal are 7.5-point favorites.
Okay, I don't know what to do with Southern Cal because every time I pick them, they don't do anything. Whenever I pick against them, they go off.
So you did pick Notre Dame to cover the 11, and USC dicked you there. So if you pick Arizona to cover, USC's probably going to. I don't know what you're going to do.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to say
USC.
I'm going to pick USC, and I don't know if I like it. So you know what? That's probably a good thing.
This one's tough.
It's tough because Arizona looked awful in a pretty good stretch of that Washington game.
Yeah, and USC is interesting because they're 3-3 with 3 wins at home and 3 losses on the road. So I'm going to take USC.
We've got 4-2 Pittsburgh going to the Carrier Dome, and they're road favorites against the Syracuse Orange. Pittsburgh favored by 2.5 points.
You don't go into the Loud House and get 2.5. You know what? I'm going to pick Syracuse against my better judgment. Betting with my heart here. Both teams just marching towards 7-6, 6-7. And I think Syracuse gets them at home. DeVito has a bit of a bounce back game after a shit game again. Well, actually, it wasn't him. It was everything else around him that was terrible against NC State. But I don't know why I trust it so much. But yeah, Syracuse to win against Pittsburgh.
Excellent. And Jeff?
It's really funny because these are 2 of the only teams I've seen that when you look at their scoring differential, they both give up more points than they score per game. Which it's really just a way the math adds up. But Pitt's won 3 in a row. Syracuse has gotten blown out a couple times. But I think Kyle's right. I'll take Syracuse to pull out a close one.
Here's the thing that scares me is Syracuse hasn't beaten anybody yet this year. They've beaten Liberty, New Hampshire.
You know, you got Holy Cross.
Western Michigan.
Holy Cross, yeah.
Yeah, Western's not bad.
Okay, that's our best win.
I think Liberty's 4-2 now. I think.
Well, Hugh,
now that he's up and walking.
Hugh Freeze is now like amassed like a giant throne of chairs. It's like the Iron Throne, but it's just chairs pushed together.
Hospital chairs, yeah.
He's on rollerblades, but they're actually just two tanks strapped to his feet.
Jeez.
He's amassed a bigger booger-mobile than Booger.
Colorado, after getting destroyed last week by Oregon, go to Washington State, and we've got Washington State 12.5-point favorites at home despite losing 3 games in a row. Also, Mike Leach has a social media ban that he just instituted with his players.
For the team.
Mm-hmm. I thought I was going to read more that Mike Leach has a social media ban. He's not allowed to do anything.
He's got social media.
He can't converse with media or anything. He's banned himself, which would be a detriment to society. Oh man, give me Washington State.
Yeah, I'm going to take Washington State too, even though they've lost 3 in a row. Oregon has gotten blasted. They've given up 30 points or more almost every game they played. Colorado, sorry. Their defense is bad, so I'll take Leach and his boys.
I'm going to pick Washington State to cover as well. And speaking of Oregon, number 12 Oregon face off against number 25 Washington, and a win for Oregon basically hands them the Pac-12 South in the middle of October. Washington are 3.5-point underdogs at home.
How is Oregon in the Pac-12 South?
Nothing makes sense.
Are they really in the Pac-12 South?
You know what? I literally got this. I'm looking at it now. They're in the Pac-12 North, and I'm an idiot.
There are so many California teams.
So I was looking up. I was looking up the conference standings, right? Because I was making just additional notes for these picks, and I went on NCAA's actual website, and I swear to God, they had them under Pac-12 South, and I was just like, and I saw it, and I was like, no questioning it. Like, there's dumber things. I just think of like the Big Ten Legends and Leaders Conference or division.
They've already
doesn't make any sense.
That's a throwback.
Let's just go with it.
Hey, Pac-12 has just already instituted the pay to play, pay to play. So they've just ex-nated all of the California teams. So now Oregon is in the South.
It's technically in the South, right? Yeah, so Washington team's in the North.
It's the Pac-6. I'm going to go Oregon covers.
I agree. Washington has not been super impressive. They've been fine. I mean, I think people are more down on them than they should be, but Oregon's defense is elite, giving up 8 points per game.
Yeah, Oregon's defense is insane, and I think even with a good effort by Eason, the only thing that troubles me is that Oregon's offense it sometimes looked pretty mediocre. They lost.
Who did they lose?
They lost Jake. Yeah, they lost Breland for the year. Their number 1 tight end, and I think really probably Herbert's favorite receiver. So I'm gonna pick Washington to cover. I think they lose by 3, but I'm just
that's not a bad call.
This season's kind of weird, you know. I'm thinking at Washington maybe they have an advantage there a little bit. Baylor, number 18 Baylor, go to Oklahoma State, and the Cowboys are 2.5-point favorites.
Ooh.
All Baylor's done is win.
And Oklahoma State has looked a bit flimsy lately. The Rhule Train keeps on going. Give me Baylor. Just because I want it to happen.
Yep, I'm going to go with Baylor as well.
Last year, they lost at Baylor. Can they get revenge? I don't think so.
You answer it.
And it was a pretty close game. I think it was a 4-point game, wasn't it?
Yeah. I like the way Baylor's playing right now. Their Rhule's just doing a great job. Yeah, I'll take Baylor too.
Yeah. The only thing that really worries me about it is Baylor just lost their middle linebacker, who's pretty important for their 3-3-5, and Oklahoma State's quarterback is a little scrambling bastard, so I could see that maybe causing fits, but I still think Baylor's 3 points better.
Yeah.
Our surprise games. We have two teams that are both receiving votes in the AP Top 25. We have Tulane visiting Memphis. Memphis for 5.5-point favorites.
I think that Memphis, they're visiting Memphis, right?
Yep.
I think Memphis rebounds from last week.
The city you spoke so highly about.
Well, it has nothing to do with the city.
Just the
city's
people.
beautiful. Yeah,
you said the barbecue sucks.
Just the people. I love the city. Wish that they get different citizens. No,
let me tell you about these buildings.
No, give me Memphis. I think they rebound and kind of end the Tulane dream right there. Not like end it, but give them a
step back.
Smack. Yeah,
put them behind the 8 ball.
Put them behind the levee.
Jesus Christ, Kyle. All right, I'm gonna, Jeff. I'm throwing it to you because I actually am gonna edit that out.
No!
Time to end the podcast. I think, man, this is a tough one. I think I'll go with Memphis at home.
I'm gonna go with Tulane to cover, but I do think Memphis ultimately wins the game. It feels like a close one.
That's fair.
And we have a 2-4 Purdue team. Listen, these surprise games, it was kind of difficult. A 2-4 Purdue team going to number 23 Iowa. Iowa are 15-point favorites despite not scoring more than 12 in their last 2 games.
But is everybody still hurt for Purdue?
Yeah. I think they're still down to their third-string quarterback, and Rondale Moore, I don't think he's playing.
And I know Maryland's got a lot of injuries, but they did still hang 40 on Maryland.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Purdue. I wouldn't be surprised if Iowa wins, but yeah, Purdue to cover.
Yeah, give them Purdue to cover. Iowa, I just don't know if they're going to score enough to make it a 15-point spread.
I think that's a valid point, and I think also that Iowa brings everybody down to their level, so I think that it is close. I think Purdue loses, but I don't think it's by 15. I just can't. Yeah. I can't imagine, unless it's defensive touchdowns, that Iowa scores enough to be 15 points ahead of Purdue. Excellent. That's our picks. That looks like a bunch of 6-6 results.
Oh yeah,
almost undoubtedly. So take it or leave it. Pick what you want to take to Vegas and run with it. But we're not liable.
Oddly 500 will get me. Will be an improvement on my year. So
yeah, you're moving upwards.
Onwards and upwards, you guys. It's great.
Kyle's climbing the charts, and we are going to get out of here. I hope you enjoy the next week of football. We got some good ones. And gentlemen, go ahead and say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Farewell.
Jeff is out of words. He's out of words, and we've done it like 5 times.
Did you say Alvita Zane yet?
No, I almost did Arrivederci.
Well, you should have.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll say it. Arrivederci. I said it like it's an Arizona State defensive back.
He was a great running back, wasn't quarterback? Mike Arrivederci.
I think it was. Yeah. That's almost. I think. Isn't that Rutgers interim coach?
Isn't that the third baseman for the Miami Marlins right now?
Hi, my name's Joshua Tracy.
And I am Corwin Heller.
And we are the hosts of a statistics and sports podcast called Juicing the Numbers.
We cover the NFL, college football, MLB, and the NHL with anything that we like to talk about in between.
If you like sports and the numbers behind it, come check out our show, Juicing the Numbers, on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you find podcasts. Hit us up on Twitter at JuicingPod.